Good morning, afternoon and evening, my crazies. My name's Angela, I'm the Crazy Poppy Lady, and welcome back to a Throwback Friday number 63. What have I got for you this week? Come on, let's go and visit some old videos and see what I was gassing on about. Right, so the first video I have for you today is the Big and Little Crochet Collective crochet projects, and it is, come on, books 21 through to 25, and series is 5 of 8. Okay, now with this a little clip, I am just showing you the front covers to show you what could be in the books. If you want to have a look at those books in a bit more detail, click the I button up here. That will take you through to that video, or of course check the information and check for a link in the description box down below. Right, so let's delve in and let's see what book number 21 through to 25 are called, and then we'll have a nose at the patterns inside. Right, so book 21 is Quick and Easy Gifts. Book number 22 is Stylish Statements. Book number 23 is Winter Warmers. Book number 24 is A Scandi Style. Book number 25 is called Hearts and Flowers. Right, so and let's scoot these back this way. Nice, short, sharp and sweet. Alright, our next video up is a little bit longer, and of course it is our Whips, Bits and Chat number 63. Oh, and by the way, apologies, that on. Dora is naked today, so I've turned around so she doesn't flash her boobies at everybody. And the reason for that is I'm actually wearing the top. I've restricted myself from bread so my belly fits in it. So what I'm going to do in a second is tell you all about the top in a bit more detail. Right, so in a few moments I will tell you all about the top and where you can get your hands on that pattern if you haven't already picked that up, because I think I spoke about it in last week's lives and possibly the last week's Whips and Bits, but I'll best go and double check that, haven't I? I'm gonna cheat. There we go. Right, so the pattern is called the Mercedes. Okay, it's a pattern by our gorgeous Courtney at Fiberfox Studios. Now this has been on my list for ages since she first put it out in April 2020. So I've been holding on to it since then, but I finally did it, and I have made it using the Papaya Sunday cotton. Okay, this is a microfiber cotton. You get, here we go, 100 grams or 350 ounces. There is 320 meters or 350 yards. It's 100% microfiber acrylic. Now they recommend using a 3 to 4 millimeter hook on knitting needles and a 2 to 3 millimeter hook while crocheting. Okay, now the colourway I'm holding here is different to the one that I used in my top. If I remember the number, I'll stick it in the drop down box later. Right, now this yarn is a lot thinner than what our gorgeous Courtney suggested. Loads thinner. She's got a brilliant write up on this. Okay, so yes, I did cheat on that last bit. What I will do is put a link to last week's Whips, Bits and Chat, where all the details are on there from 9 minutes onwards. Okay, so all the details about the yarn weight and differences between the yarns, and hopefully all of that is on there for you to go and have a nose at. Especially if you're, say, in the UK like me and you can't get hold of the same yarn that Courtney used. Maybe you'd want to use this yarn or a different yarn. At least then you'd know the differences in thicknesses. Oh my gosh, I was so cheeky there. I just played the previous week's video over the top to actually show you and tell you all about it. I still absolutely love that top. It spends a lot more time on Dory nowadays than it does on me because it doesn't fit. My bread baby has gone up to 9 months old. Right, so what have I been up to this week? As our lives marked up, I've got lots to tell you about. Right, so as you all know, I went to a wedding on over the weekend. We travelled down on Friday morning, and the trip would normally take us between 3.5 and 4 hours, depending on how many stops we had to do. We've managed it in 3:25 before now. We just went straight through. No kids in the car. It was perfect. But and this time round, that didn't happen. We had torrential rain. So on the M25 car park, as the locals like to call it, the speeds went from 70 down to 60, down to 30, down to 40. And at some points we were just sitting there, just looking out the window, wondering what was going on. So the trip ended up taking us just shy of 6 hours. So we managed to get to our hotel. Luckily we left really early because our plan was leave early, go and find me a bra to fit under my top, because it turns out the halter neck I've had for far too many years, gained too many sizes, and it certainly doesn't fit. So we were going to go and do that. And we were going to grab hubby a pair of shoes to go out with, because he didn't have any smart ones. He'd worn them out. So we're driving down there. We get to the hotel, book into the hotel, and then we go and attempt to find some shops open. Well, the only thing we could find open was Sports Direct. And so Madam E got stuck with a bikini top. But thankfully that held up for the day and didn't move, so that was perfectly fine. And he looked really lovely underneath the dress, the pink and black one that was on Dory a couple of weeks ago. So I got some absolutely gorgeous comments about the dress / top from everybody that was there. They all really liked it. Thankfully I didn't walk out with any orders, because I informed them of how much it was going to cost in yarn, and they went, no, you're right. So and the wedding itself was absolutely beautiful. Now, before we went down to the wedding, I'd spoken to the bride and the groom, because of course with COVID restrictions they could only have 20 guests, and if they had a photographer, he would have, or she would have to count as a guest, and they wanted to get as many friends and family in that they could. And so it was just adults, because of course then that helped keep the numbers down as well. So the best man's known me for far too long, and he knows that way before crochet I had a thing for photography, and I used to make up little videos using the photographs I'd taken, put them to background music and things like that. And he asked me basically if I'd be up for doing some of the photography for the wedding, which of course I agreed to, because you can't not go to a wedding and take photos. So I dusted off my kit, and that came down with me. So both me and my husband were taking photographs, and of course so was the rest of the wedding party, and it was really, really lovely. So I got some absolutely gorgeous shots. Now the agreement was that I would take the photographs, stick them on a memory card and hand them over to the bride and groom. Okay, I might muck around with a few of them, turn them black and white, add back in some colour detail and things like that on my favourite shots, which they were happy for me to do. And then I was just going to give them the memory card and send them on their way, let them choose what they wanted to print and what they didn't want to print and all the rest of it. So on the wedding day I'm going around all the group of guests saying to them, right, I'm going to get a drop, Rob's going to sort out a Dropbox for us, so that you can download all the photos you take, and then we can shove them on the same disc, on the same memory card, and hand them over to the bride and groom, so they've got everybody's photos and they're not having to chase them. And then Rob's coming behind me going, it's not a Dropbox, and it's blah blah blah, this is what we're going to be using, don't worry, she's a bit daft, she doesn't know what she's talking about. So I'm like, yep, I know. just let him get away with it. So of course it made everybody giggle, which also meant that every person that was there would remember this bird was banging on about a Dropbox. So when we get what was it, after the service, and we sat down for the meal, which was absolutely gorgeous, and the bride was absolutely stunning. The groom didn't look too bad either. I've known him the longest, so I can be the cheekiest with him. And my husband announces to the bride and groom that as an extra wedding gift, his wife is going to make him a wedding album. So now, not only am I editing my images, I'm taking on the guests' images, removing red eye, cropping them, possibly tweaking some of them because there are some beautiful shots that have come through. And then their initials are going to be put on the bottom of the photograph so that the bride and the groom know whose photos are whose. And it also means then that it's going to make the album more personalised, and because everybody's joining in on it. But oh my gosh, how much work! I'd forgotten how much work was involved in building an album. Actually, no, I didn't. That's why I hadn't offered. But so we get home, and I say to my husband, "Don't forget, you got to do the Dropbox." He says, "It's not a Dropbox, woman." So he sets up whatever it was that it was meant to be, hands the information over to the groom to pass around the guests, and the groom tries to upload something, and it doesn't work. And nothing worked, not even my husband uploading to it. So he's going, "Oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know what to do." I said, "I'm sure there's such a thing as a Dropbox." So then he's gone off and he's looked and he's gone, "Yes, you win." He sets up a Dropbox. So now all the guests are sending in their favourite shots of the wedding into this Dropbox, and I think there's about 40 sitting in there at the moment from about 3 or 4 guests. So it's amazing the amount of choice that the bride and groom are going to have when it comes to building up their album. And so that's something else I've got to arrange, is getting all the photos ready to go, and then because of the distance we're going to have to FaceTime and have them choose the album's FaceTime and then work it through, not the album, sorry, choose the photographs through FaceTime. So fingers crossed that won't upset them too much. I can't see it being that way, to be honest, because they were pretty cool bride and groom. But yeah, that is another reason why there hasn't been many videos this week, is because I've been concentrating on trying to get that done. But I tell you what, when he said it, oh my gosh, didn't I want to wring his neck. Completely and utterly starve him of oxygen. Yep, I did end up finishing off that album. I can't show you any of the photos though, or any of the info like that, because some of them were not my photos. I did have fun doing it. The bride and groom now have the album because I did it through an online company, which meant I could build up the album and put the photographs where I wanted. They could then view the album as well, because I cheekily set it up like that, so they could view the album. We talked our way through it, took out and swapped out photos and bits and pieces within the album. Then I coughed up the cash and got it sent directly to them. So I still haven't actually seen this album, but I know it arrived and I know that they like it. Now, what else have I been up to? Right, we have got a new poppy count. Now, as you remember, there is 8 boxes up there, which brings the total up to 480 in the box. So there was a 20 going free in a way. So I've added them to this next box. So we now have 9 boxes of completed poppies ready to go to the Royal British Legion. So that is another completed box, which brings us up to 9 boxes, totaling 540 poppies, which leaves me 460 left to go. 460, I'm on the final countdown. It's all downhill from here on. Yay! So that was last year's poppy count up to that point. I haven't made any this year yet. I don't know if I will be. We'll just have to wait and see.